Well, Reason turned 20 years old this month. Pretty cool. And those of you that know me know that I am an avid Reason user with my recording. I originally started out in computer recording with Pro Tools. Well, Pro Tools just wasn't a sequencer and still not much of one, but people still use it and it's okay. I guess it's gotten better over the years, but it just wasn't working for me. I went to Persona Studio One Pro, which I still love. I have it as a backup. I actually have it if I have to do anything on video for video support because Reason hasn't quite put video support up yet on that deal. We're working on trying. I'm messaging them a lot going, please get video support and a few other things I want out of it. And it'll come. The demand's going to come in time for that. But if those of you who know Reason know what's going on, Reason's doing this little Reason challenge thing, and I don't really care about winning anything. That's not what I'm doing it for. It's challenging you to do everything they had on Reason 1, just using all the Reason version 1 stuff, and it's very limited. And I think I'll take a little break and something creative. I think I'm going to write something on that. I think it'll be cool, and we'll do that. I've been so busy doing a lot of the film and TV stuff, I'm going to change it up. So the last 5-6 weeks of this year, I got a few more tracks for a publisher to do, and then I'm going to do some rock stuff for another publisher. But one thing that I've been saying, and I've been saying it's been 6 years, it's going to happen, is I'm going to start on a new record. Yes. It's probably going to be records, plural. My plan is to do a double album or 2 different albums. It's going to be post-rock and ambient stuff. All these years, and I stumbled across this doing film and TV music through briefs and learned about these guys. Groups like Explosions in the Sky, L1011, love these guys. I absolutely love them. I love post-rock, and it's the music that I've always wanted to write, and it was staring me in the face the whole time. I never even knew it. If those of you have listened to some of my music, you can go to my webpage. I'll put the description in this video. It's probably my webpage is already in the descriptions of this video, come to think of it. But it's been guitar instrumental stuff, and when I got into film and TV music, a lot of the busy notes and a lot of stuff you can't have in there, so you have to cut a lot of that stuff out. But with me, it's just become, instead of being Guitar Hero or look at me, all the notes and playing. I have my moments, don't get me wrong, being a guitar player. I love that. But I'm about the music, man. I'm very melodic, and there's so much you can do with that. So I love the atmosphere. I say atmospheric. It's ambient. My bad. I coined that phrase wrong. Post-rock and ambient stuff. I think I've already said that, but that ambient stuff I love as well, man. That stuff is so cool because you can get real melodic and emotional with it, and I love that stuff. It really is cool. So another thing on my plate here is since 2011, I've been using Propeller Head's balance interface. I love this thing. I really do. There's mixed things online about it. People get hung up on all this stuff, and maybe it didn't work for them, but it mated perfectly with Pro Tools, and I'm going to keep this thing. I'm going to keep it indeed. But what I see might be happening is the new software technology is creating latency issues with this because it was made around 2010, 2011. I've had it since then. In fact, the date on this thing is 2010, so I love this thing. It mates perfectly with Pro Tools. It has your automatic clip safe, which is just a limiter you kick in if somebody who doesn't know about levels, but even that can be a dangerous tool. You have to understand about what you're doing, or that can be too much. You have to be very careful about what you're doing. Just because they have that button don't mean it's magical. But this thing's great. The propeller head balance. I've kind of worn out the finish on it. It was kind of weird over time. I don't know what that is. Maybe some of the coating on it wears off. It's just, but anyway, it's been a workhorse for me. And a lot of people, that's what I'm touching on, a lot of people get hung up on these preamps. The preamps are better on all these interfaces. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I have a degree in electronics engineering technology, and I understand this technology thoroughly. I understand the designs of these circuits and how they do. I'm not as intuitive, like every movement of the circuit like some of these guys are, where they can, by photographic memory, tell you exactly where the circuit off the top of their head, that kind of stuff. No, But my thing was I just want to know my test points, what's going wrong, how to fix it, and understand how it works. And it's what I went to college for. It's what I did. So technology and music is my background here in my career. So it's been that. People get hung up on these preamps, and what I think they mean well, and what they mean, but they don't realize it is when they say the preamps are better, they get hung up on UAD and Apogee. They're great interfaces. There's some other companies out there. Yeah, the preamps are good because it's the circuitry around that preamp that builds that whole preamp. There's a preamp chip in there, but I'm going to let you in on a little something most people don't realize is that maybe the exception of Apogee, maybe UAD, most all these companies are using the same preamp chips. What makes them differ is their circuit design around that. All your filters and everything, your gain staging in this. I mean, this preamp here running about 42 watts, and I didn't have to go past 4 o'clock on this. A lot of these guys, and you'll see them. I'm not going to do it, but go look at the video. They do a great job of comparing them. If you compare the SSL to the Apogee to the UADs, even the Focusrite Scarletts, they check the noise floor and they crank it on 11 and just let it sit there. Well, in reality, I get what they're doing, but in reality, if you have to crank it to 11 when you plug something into it, the device you're plugging into it has a problem. It's not enough. You're having to overdo what you're doing for gain. In other words, you don't have enough gain staging, or you might have one of these you bought at Walmart or something. I really don't know. But be it that it may, I've never gotten mine past 3 or 4 o'clock really because it's between you and what you're doing there. But they're looking for the noise floor, and SSL had some, but so did UAD and so did Apogee, some more than others. But a lot of that is you're not even going to hear it at all. And when you've got a good gain in here and a good clean signal, and the preamp circuits are built right, and granted, listen, they're right. Listen, UAD makes some great interfaces. The preamp circuits are amazing. Apogee is amazing. They all are. This was great. People want to put it down, but I'm telling you, Propellerhead really could have improved on this, and they discontinued and quit making it. But Propellerhead is now called Reason Studios, as you know. But this was great. It worked for me. And at the end of the day, whatever works best for you, go with it. If it works best, because it's not. This isn't going to be the magic that's going to do everything that you need done here. It's not going to be that. It really isn't going to be the magic there. It's about you as a producer and an engineer and what you put to it. It's going to be, years ago, big engineers I worked with and producers used to say, don't let all this $1 million worth of gear fool you or scare you. It's all about a good preamp and a good mic at the end of the day if you're a singer-songwriter. You get a good tape machine or something, or a good recorder. So, and that's that. So I'm replacing this here, folks. And I got the SSL 2 Plus. This thing's got rave reviews and it sounds so great. It has the 4K boost, and if you've watched videos about the 4K boost and you listen to them, a lot of the differences with these interfaces, this was compared with the Apogee and the UAD, and it was spot on. Great preamps. I have heard no one say anything negative about this. This is Solid State Logic, guys. These are the company in England that's created all these huge consoles that they're using in Abbey Road Studios now. This company is no slack whatsoever, and for the affordability, it's amazing. It only cost me shipping and all, or really it was tax and all because I got it from Amazon, less than $300. And it's got 2 headphones out monitoring system. It's got the 4K and a lot of other stuff. I'll probably talk about it separately later, but this thing, I'm excited to use it. I think it's going to be great. My worry was as technology progressed and ran away from this, is I was going to be having more latency issues. Fighting with latency has already started because probably of the technology match and a lot of things that these dolls and computers are demanding now. It's 10 years old, guys. A lot of things happen in 10 years, but that doesn't mean I'm getting rid of this. I'm going to keep it as a backup. But this should be fun, should be interesting to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up in time. I'm going to sit down, and I'm probably on screen. I'm going to start maybe working on a track, something different, using just the Reason version 1 stuff. I want to do that. It'll be cool. So, and in fact, I'm probably going to maybe start it on screen, maybe, and do it on video. It'd be cool. So I'm setting up this SSL, and I'll talk about the SSL in a separate time, but unlike a lot of other interfaces, some of these interface companies have little quirks, and I had to go into the computer settings itself before the DAW and select the input as the SSL. I hope I don't have to do that every time I disconnect and hook this up. I don't think that I will, but you got to go through a little bit of the quirks when you're doing this, but it sounds pretty good. I've had it plugged in for a second, figuring out the mix with the monitor, whether everything on the computer or just the input to the left, which is kind of weird. Hope that doesn't cause latency issues as well, but I think this thing should be a clean run. Every video I've heard of this SSL interface hadn't had any problems with latency. It's just I'm wondering what I'm setting my latency to in my DAW settings. I put it to 64, and it got the least amount of latency. I may have to go to 128 on that deal, and that's in milliseconds. So 128 bits to milliseconds. So we shall see on that deal. Okay, so I've got this thing plugged up, and there is an ounce of latency. This thing is so cool. That's just a clean signal. It's just like I've plugged into an amp of some sort. So sorry about my camera here, folks. Let's get that situated here. But anyway, and the meter on this thing goes from -10 to 0. There's some people that kind of complain about that on this interface, that it should have gone from -10 to 6 to -3 and then the 0. But if that thing hits red, you're peaking anyway. So, and that's the cool thing. It is a pretty consistent 3 green to a yellow to an orange, yellow, and then red. You're hitting red, you're peaking. You got to be careful of that because, to a certain degree, it's occasionally bumped because you're dynamic performance. But this thing's. Let's see here if it. Yeah, you hear that boost. The 4K really gives it a good boost. And folks, that 4K, that legacy 4K, what that is, it's just like white noise. It's noise, basically improving that signal to noise ratio. It's kind of adding kind of that analog effect that you get, that little distortion to a digital signal. It's just noise. It's like basically it's one button that's giving you kind of some saturation, so to speak. But it really does sound good. It is not a bad thing to brighten up your signal because there's a little presence in it when you're cutting tracks. And I want to try to maybe add a good amp here. Let's go look at my bias FX here. I've got some really cool, my positive grid amps. Oh yeah. I use Guitar Rig sometimes, but I've been using that bias FX2 from Positive Grid as really good amps. Now, I'm not gonna lie. There's a really good improvement in the sound versus to my balance. The balance was a great interface, but I can tell there is some improvement there. There's nothing wrong with that, but not such a great difference that you go with what you're happy with. That's all that matters. So that pretty much is the gist on how clean that is. These things, I haven't seen one review yet on this that people say it's horrible or it's just not good. Or no, I mean it really is a great interface, and people are comparing it to your UADs and your Apergys. It's on par. It's there, so can't beat it. Can't beat it at all. So, but that is a little pop. Hold on one second. Let's see. Let's put this to the test here. Pop metal. I want to get a good. Oh shit! There we go. See, I can pick a little bit. So I got everything set up on this thing. It sounds great. Just for the monitors I'm using right now, I've got it in the headphones output. If you put a stereo device in one side of the output, it's going to be mono, because the output is designed to take one monitor one side, one other, in your own stereo. So you got a stereo button on this thing. Damon, if you want to go mono, mix, or stereo, based on what output you're doing, you kick stereo off if you're just listening to the input on that. So that's a whole different beast. But man, this thing sounds great. It's unbelievable. Can't complain whatsoever. I mean, I've just played some stuff. It's just crisp, clear. The outputs are powerful. A bit louder than the balance that I had. I think they said something like 64 watts or something of output. You're not going to use that. I mean, really, if you're low volume mixing, you're not going to crank it that loud. So, I mean, you got to... Gets loud. I'm just toying with something and reading. But anyway, easy to set up. Like most all these interfaces now are plug and play. Not a problem. Some of these interfaces, like one thing that bothers me about Focusrite's interfaces is that you got to go in and you plug it in. Like, okay, I'm in channel 1. Why is it not seeing it? And I see the meter. I don't hear it. Some of these DAWs, most all of them, you got to go in and select the channel inside the DAW. This sees it wherever you're at, just like the balance did. So I think that's cool. Well, it's supposed to. I haven't plugged my guitar up yet on that deal. But I'm pretty sure that we're going to do that really soon here, because I got some rock tracks I got to do for some publishers here, and we're going to start tracking out some stuff towards a new record. Sometime in 2021, I really need to. My goal was to do about 30 tracks, 15 of post-rock, 15 of ambient. Now, I plan one thing, and then what actually happens is another, so we'll see. My goal is to at least get 30 tracks, because I'll release it, and I think it would be great material. I really do want to do some great music, but it's also going to be on the film and TV marketing and on the other end, so I'm going to kind of take a different twist of how I push that particular music. Instead of, I'm not going to commit it directly to a library right away. I want to see what some music supervisors can do, because what I want to write is going to have really good film, movie quality. That's what I want. So we're going to make that happen one way or the other. But your SSL 2 Plus, now they do have a regular 2, which is fine. If you don't want the 4K and an extra headphones mix, listen, both of them are nice. And the 2 is like $239, $40 more. I just said, let's just go with everything. Let's do it right. We're going to do it right. Great interface, and there'll be more to come. And as I get a moment, if I get something started here, if I decide to do this in Reason, I'll put it on the screen and share it with you guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. You guys have a great one. Be cool. Bye.